Hi friends, I'm Lisa. This is Small Kids Big God, and today I'm going to do a video on homeschool planning. I'm going to show you in two-part videos. This is the first part, how I planned our homeschool year for next year. And you don't have to do it the way that I do it, but I feel like it's always helpful to see how somebody else does it and you can glean ideas from there. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about big picture planning, how I get from a general vision, a homeschool vision, to what we're actually going to do each year. And then in part two, I'm going to talk about how I take curriculum and put it into weeks and days of our school year, more like a scheduling video. So today, we're going to do big picture stuff, starting at the very beginning. So just to let you know, this is our 5th year homeschooling, and this year we're going to have 4 kids, 3 official students, a 4th grader, 2nd grader, and a kindergartner. And my 3-year-old will bring lots of entertainment and joy to our school day as well, but he's not an official student. And so since this is our 5th year homeschooling, in a lot of ways it's easy for me to plan for next year because I already have a good base and I know what's been working and what hasn't. At the same time, it is a challenge because I'm adding a new student and kind of getting into some more significant grades. I mean, my oldest is going to be in 4th grade, so I think it matters a little bit more what we're doing than it did, let's say, when he was in kindergarten. So let me let you know how I start. It can be overwhelming to try and figure out what we're going to do for homeschool year, especially in some of your very first years. So the first thing I do is I don't allow myself to start planning before the year is done, only because I feel like I need to finish out what we've done before I start planning. I like planning and I could get caught up in that and not finish well what we've done. So to counter that, if I have ideas or I hear of a book or curriculum that I think would be a good idea, during the school year I just stick it in a Word document that I have constantly running on my computer called Homeschooling Ideas, and I just type out the name of the book at the bottom, or maybe we should do spelling next year, and then leave it. And at the end of the year I can come back to that. I will point out that in our state, we don't have any specific requirements for hours or subjects studied. I don't have to turn in a report or anything, so I have a lot of freedom in how I homeschool. Our general educational philosophy that I follow the most is Charlotte Mason. I don't follow, I don't do a purist Charlotte Mason school. That's not my number one goal. My number one goal is for us to disciple our children and follow God, and then use what fits best for our family. And a lot of Charlotte Mason things do, so I think our school really does look very much like Charlotte Mason, but if it bothers you that it's not exactly perfect, well, that's not what we do in our school. Okay, so I have a running list of things I might want to do next year, all year, and then once the school year's done, the first thing I want to do is talk to my kids within a couple days of finishing school, and ask them questions just like, what did you like about last year? What was working for you? What wasn't working? What did you not like? What would you like to learn next year? And I try to incorporate these things in my planning for next year as much as possible. I mean, some things I can add. My daughter wants to learn sewing, so we're going to put sewing in next year. But if your kid just doesn't like math, I mean, sorry. Not much we can do about that, but it's helpful to hear. It's really interesting and helpful to hear their feedback, and then they feel like they have a part in things, which they should. Then I do something else really simple. I make a list of things that worked and things that didn't. So this is my list. I just wrote it on the back of another paper, all the things that worked, whether it's curriculum, or our start time and the way we start school has been working, so I put that on things that worked. And then things that didn't at the bottom. So these are things that I'm going to want to change for next year, whether it's curriculum or, you know what, this is kind of funny. One of the things we wanted to change is when we would read for history, the kids would fight because our couch really doesn't fit 5 people. It really fits 4. And so that's just a big point of contention. And I don't know, I haven't figured out what I'm going to do about that for next year. But it's just something that didn't work. So I've got this official list of things that work and things that didn't. The next thing I do is I read over our homeschool vision. My husband and I made homeschool vision, I think when we started homeschooling, so several years ago, and I just read it so that it's in my head and so I know what we're getting at with a big picture thing before I jump right into curriculum, which is my tendencies. What I want to do is start just like ordering curriculum and scheduling stuff, but I want to get a big picture idea. What are we doing? Why? What do we want our kids to know when they've left? And so that helps to read out our vision. The next thing I do is I fill out a goal sheet for each child, even my 3-year-old, also for the purpose of getting big picture and not just jumping ahead. So I've got this goal sheet, and I like that it breaks it down into 6 sections. So it has academic goals in one square, but then the other squares are character, life skills, special skills and handicrafts, physical fitness and health, and then Bible knowledge. I got this from growinginhisglory.com, but I don't think it's there anymore. I couldn't find it. But you could make one of these really easily. Just put together these 6 boxes and write your child's name on it and fill it out. One of the reasons that I really like to do this is it helps me see the whole person of my child. It's important to have academic goals, like I know we're going to learn math, but I want to make sure that I'm not ignoring character or health and that kind of thing either. And then I do one of these for each child, and then I show these to my husband. That's kind of where he comes into the planning, and he gives me feedback on like what he thinks we should add, or kind of his perspective on what the kids need for next year. Once I've filled out these goals and shown them to my husband, then I get to start looking for curriculum, which is the fun part for me. So how do I find curriculum? A lot of the things that we've been doing are working. So if they're working, I stick with them. In fact, sometimes the way we school, we don't even necessarily finish a book at the end of our school year. So some of our books, like our science book, we're part of the way through. History, we're just going to continue on. I don't even have to buy anything new. Some things that aren't working, I try to find something different that will work. And again, since I know our educational philosophy, and because we do a pretty heavy like literature-based curriculum, I know some places where to look. We look for things on like the Simply Charlotte Mason website. I check out Ambleside Online to see what they're doing. We don't do that, but I can glean ideas from them. I also look at Beautiful Feet books and a couple other places to try to find curriculum. I'm always kind of keeping my eyes and ears open to see what might work for us. I pull from all different kinds of places. Now for my daughter who's going to be in kindergarten, I'm adding her, and I'm not doing kindergarten the same way that I've done it before, because I find that kindergarten really is something that really needs to be individualized for the child. Each kid needs a different thing. When they're 5, they all are at different places and they need a different schooling. I know I'm going to do something different when my 3-year-old active son is in kindergarten. He's going to have different needs too. So for kindergarten, the way I handle that is I know generally I feel like reading is the most important thing, because once a child can read, they can do lots of things on their own. My daughter's actually really quite a proficient reader for a 5-year-old, but we will continue reading with the same curriculum that we've been doing before. And she wants to do math. I don't feel like math is like absolutely necessary for a kindergartner as long as they understand some really basic concepts, but because she wants to do it, we'll be doing that. And then for her, I've really personalized some things. We're going to be learning stories of ballet because ballet is really her passion. And she has some specific handicrafts that she wants to do, like sewing, and she's gifted with art, so we're going to make sure to make that a priority. And some of these things, they're not curriculum. I'm just pulling from different places. For sewing example, I just found on different blogs online like how to get a child started sewing, and I'm just going to follow those directions and kind of go with, see if we can do it ourselves. So that is how I get from big picture to curriculum. And I hope that is helpful. If you have questions, leave them in the comments, and definitely stick around for part 2 and find out how we fit this in to our school days. Thanks for watching.